morning, everyone. We're going to call a special meeting of the Carson City Board of Supervisors and the Carson City Redevelopment Authority to order. Today is Monday, May 18th, 2015. It is 10 a.m. We're in the Community Center at the Sierra Room at 851 East William Street. Better have a roll call for the record, please, for us.
Good morning. Supervisor Bowd. Here. Supervisor Bonkowski. Here. Supervisor Bagwell. Here. Supervisor Scher. Mayor Kroll.
Bob's here.
We have a quorum.
Could you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we'll now move on to item number 4, public comment. The public's invited at this time to comment on and discuss any topic that is relevant to or within the authority of this body. Any public comment? Anybody? Okay, I don't see any. So then we will go to possible adoption of the agenda. Any changes to the agenda?
No changes, Mr. Mayor.
Board members, any changes? Unless there's an objection, we will adopt the agenda as published. We'll now move on to item number 6, finance. This is the public hearings on the budget issues. Mr. Providenti, you want to take us through, this should be what we voted on. This is a compilation of what we voted on last time. So why don't you take us through what you've done?
So do you want the mayor to open the public hearing first, and then we can discuss it? Would that be the proper protocol?
Okay, well, then we'll do that. We will now open the hearing on the issue of the Carson City final budget for the fiscal year 2015-2016. And I think,
Would you like me to kind of just go ahead and give a little quick
well,
synopsis?
I was wondering if I close, because
and then you can have, if there's any public to discuss.
Go, okay.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Members of the board, for the record, Nick Providenti, Finance Director. So today, we were asking you to approve the final budget. At the last meeting in May 5th, I believe. 7th, pardon me. You had instructed the Finance Department to make certain changes to the tentative budget and adopt it as the final. So we have done what you have asked us. I just want to quickly go through what we changed from the tentative to the final. The first thing we did is we reduced the contingency by $100,000 and appropriated an additional $11,407. And increased charges for services by $27,014 to fund $138,421 in supplemental requests for various departments in the general fund. We also made various adjustments to the general fund expenditure line items that we had discussed for a net decrease of $5,818. And then we increased charges for services by $10,000 to increase the alternative sentencing fees. We increased the transfer from the general fund to the capital projects fund by $675,000 to fund various capital projects. And we reduced the transfer from the general fund to the debt service fund by $75,000 to reflect anticipated savings from the issuance of refunding bonds. We'll be bringing the refunding bond items to you probably in the next month to 6 weeks, and we anticipate closing those bonds at the beginning of August. That's kind of the plan for those. So those are going. We're going through that process right now. We also transferred $95,000 from the board designated line item in the extraordinary maintenance fund that you haven't approved yet, but you will today, hopefully. We changed that from just board designated to roof replacement items. And then in the water fund, we increased charges for services by $100,000. There was just some accounting issues that we had on there, and we just cleaned it up per the Department of Taxation's request. And that's basically what we did. We could answer any questions that you might have.
Questions to the board, public? Let's do public. Any public question? I'm sorry. Any public questions? Public comments? Don't see any board questions. All right, then. Let's see here. I think I'm going to close the public hearing then, and then we'll close the public hearing and then take a vote. All right. Last time, anybody from the public want to talk? All right, then we're going to close the public hearing on this item and bring it to the board for discussion and possible motion. Motion's in order.
I move to approve the Carson City final budget for fiscal year 2015-16.
Motion and a second on the motion. Discussion. Supervisor Shirk.
I am voting in favor of this motion. However, budget decisions have a profound impact on the daily lives of citizens. And having this year's budget buried inside the massive marathon agenda packet of May 7th seems unreasonable and ill-advised. Why? Because the present-day budget procedure does not make available any pre-budget hearings to allow board members an opportunity to discuss possible budget modifications. The staff would then have to explore and bring back to the board for evaluation and further direction. Everyone can agree that a better budget practice or process will lead to a better budget for the city and its citizens. Having access to the budget information just 5 days prior to the vote to approve the budget is wrong. How can the board be expected to explore options for increasing or decreasing revenue to various accounts or gain the confidence that all expenditures are justifiable in a short period of time? This present-day budget process does not provide sufficient time to look at both sides of the ledger. We need more than just an informal, arm's-length oversight of our city's budget. How can Carson City become better stewards of healthier budgeting practices? By exploring how we can reform our present out-of-date budget procedures and practices that have not been updated in many, many years. Advocating for improving the overall budget procedures before the next year's budget hearing stands as a reasonable request, one that this board just might consider. Thank you.
Any further discussion on the motion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Carried unanimous. Okay, let's take up item 6B. Set the ad valorem tax rate, the tax rate per 100. Nick, you want to tell us where we are on this?
Sure. Basically, we require Board of Supervisor unanimous approval if the county cooperative extension tax rate is over 1 penny per $100 of assessed valuation. We're asking you to approve the 1.28 cents for the FY 15-16 budget.
Public comment? Anybody? Board? Ready to set the rate? Motion's in order.
Resolution number.
2015 R18.
I move to adopt resolution number 2015 R18, a resolution setting the ad valorem tax rate for county cooperative extension for fiscal year 2015-2016 at $1.28 per 100 of assessed value.
Second.
Motion and a couple seconds on the motion. Discussion? Something happened. $1.28?
1.28 cents per $100 of assessed value.
Right. 1.28 cents. Right. Okay.
So I need to amend the motion.
Amend
It's at
the motion.
$1.28.
Right.
All right, I'll reread the motion. I move to adopt resolution number 2015 R18, a resolution setting the ad valorem tax rate for county cooperative extension for fiscal year 2015-2016 at 1.28 cents per $100 of assessed value.
Motion by Supervisor Bonkowski, second by Supervisor Abel on the motion. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Carried unanimous. Thank you. All right, let's take up the Extraordinary Maintenance Fund, item 6C.
Thank you, Mayor. We were given direction by the board to create the Extraordinary Maintenance Fund, and so what this is doing is this is establishing by resolution the fund. If there's any questions?
No public comment? Anybody?
One quick question. If we're establishing the capital fund, how much funding is going into that, or is it just establishing it with no funds?
No, we're anticipating, well, we're going to be transferring $100,000 from the general fund into the Extraordinary Maintenance Fund.
And throughout the year, we can use this money, but we have to leave an X amount of dollars in the fund? Is there some
Well, we're anticipating, we have to leave about a $5,000 fund balance at the end of the year. So it has to be some amount of fund balance. So we're leaving $5,000 in fund balance, so really we can only spend $95,000 this year, but in the future, we can go ahead and spend the actual 100 that we'll be transferring from the general fund.
Thank you.
Sure.
I'll make the motion.
Motion's in order, Supervisor Bagwell, your thought.
It's mine, so I'll make
Yours.
this
Make the
motion. Okay. I move to adopt Resolution R 2015, R19, right? Next number? Okay. Creating the Extraordinary Maintenance Fund, a capital projects fund.
Motion by Supervisor Bagwell, second by Supervisor Abad. On the motion, discussion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Carried unanimous. Okay. We're now on item number 7, public comment at the concluding public comment. Anybody? I don't see any. Then we will close public comment and we'll adjourn as the Board of Supervisors unless there's objection. I'll turn the gavel over to the Chair of Redevelopment Authority, Supervisor Abad.
We'll move on to item number 9 and call to order the Redevelopment Authority and let the record reflect that we have a quorum. And moving on to item number 10, is there any public comment before we get this started? Seeing none. Item number 11, Nick, I guess we'll open up the public hearing with regards to the Redevelopment Authority final budget, and you'll take us through this.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For the record, again, Nick Providenti, Finance Director. Again, we're asking you to approve the Carson City Redevelopment Authority final budget, and the only change from the tentative budget that we sent to the Department of Taxation was an amount that we increased by $30,000. We increased the services and supplies line item in the redevelopment revolving fund for the Epic Ride event, and we reduced undesignated projects by that same $30,000. And that was the only change that we had made.
Thank you, Nick. I appreciate that. Is there any public comment with regards to this? Seeing none, I guess I'll close public comment. Close the hearing on the Redevelopment Authority final budget and bring it back to the board. Brad.
Could someone just give us a brief outline of the Epic Rides, why we're moving the money over here, what that money will accomplish? If we just give a brief outline of what this entails, the Epic Rides.
Sure, I think I could do that, Supervisor Shirk. Epic Rides is a mountain bike race series. Currently takes place in 2 other western cities. Carson City will be the 3rd. It'll highlight our mountain bike trail system that we've spent a lot of time and a lot of money putting into place. The city and the Carson City Visitors Bureau have been involved in discussing and determining the role and the scope of both the city and the Visitors Bureau in supporting this race. We're looking at right now a relationship that will last 5 years. So that means we'll have 5 of these races. The first year, it'll go a year from now in June of 2016. All the events will start and conclude in the downtown redevelopment district, in addition to evening events and award ceremonies and things like that. We estimate next year we should have about 4,500 attendees. We expect the number will grow as the race becomes more mature and as more people find out about it. From the city point of view, the reason why I've inserted that $30,000 into the budget, and we're now looking to take it out of our redevelopment funds, that's an estimate sitting down with the Parks Director or the Public Works Director of the services that the city would provide in order to bring the race here. It's basically the race is actually 3 races in one to take into account riders of all capability. There's a shorter 5K race, for the true amateur just kind of getting into the sport. There's a 15K race and a 50K race. The 50K race we expect is going to be pretty much all professionals, although I've heard Supervisor Bonkowski is going going to go into it. So we're excited about that. It's really going to put the city on the map in a very positive way and highlight, I think, one of our best assets, which is our trail network. So some of the items that we are going to provide are things like street and road closures. We're going to provide porta-johns along the route. We're going to do trash pickup. We're going to waive the special event permit fees. We're also going to provide a tent for them to provide some of their evening, both awards as well as other activities. So I think it's going to be a good group of people who show up in the city. We're expecting them to come back year after year. We think it's going to be a great event. And again, it's really going to highlight what many of us feel are the city's best assets in terms of attracting visitors, tourists, and families to both our broader network of trails and our downtown.
Well, I appreciate that and letting the public know a little more about it. And I think it's a fantastic event. I'm grateful that you and other staff members got this together and brought it to us for our approval. I think it's going to be great for our city. And if anybody does the 50K, I'd like to see them start and finish. I want to witness that.
Brad, did you have questions? Okay. Then I'll bring this back to the board for motion.
I'd like to move to approve the Carson City Redevelopment Authority final budget for fiscal year 2015-16 as presented.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. One final public comment. Seeing none, then I'll adjourn the Redevelopment Authority and turn the gavel back over to the mayor.
We're adjourned now, unless there's objection. All right.